Welcome to Vegas Live with Ninon. I'm Ninon, your host, and I have a guest actually that I've known for quite some time now, and it has been a very, very fascinating guest. His name is Micheal Presley, and it was about a year and a half. Hi, Micheal, how are you?
I'm doing great.
You know, you're looking great. You know, when you walked in the door, I secretly said to somebody next to me, I said, oh my goodness, he lost weight.
Oh, 30 pounds worth.
And then all of a sudden you come out, I lost 30 pounds. And I'm thinking, yeah, you look cool. You
Thank
look
you.
really,
Thank
really
you.
good.
Yeah, they told me for all the stuff that's coming up, I had to lose 30 pounds.
You had to
size.
lose 30 pounds.
Yeah.
I have 5 pounds to lose, and I can't get this 5
Where?
pounds off. Well, I'm not going to tell you where.
Oh.
But anyway, I've had Micheal on my show a couple of times, and we both wanted to do another show, obviously, because he has rather a fascinating background, being the son of Elvis Presley. And the first recording I did, I got thousands, literally thousands, of remarks of you being Micheal Presley's son.
Mm-hmm.
That you were, you weren't, you are, whatever the case is. And it's been, for me, I'm just reading it and looking at it, but you are the one that's kind of receiving this.
Mm-hmm.
And when you receive, you know, nobody's really heard about you, nobody knows anything about you, and all of a sudden in the last couple of years, 3 or 4 years, or however long it's been with you, for me it's been a couple of years, that all of a sudden you've come out there.
Mm-hmm.
And now Elvis Presley has a son. And we have the ifs and buts. But I'm not worried about what everybody has commented on it. I'm more concerned about how you perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
And it must be rather sort of, I don't know, it's like a sweet, bitter.
I think it is a little bit, but like I tell folks when they say, well, he only had a daughter. And I say,
Yes.
And I look at them and I say, well, I've got the DNA to prove otherwise, but really logically thinking, do you really think that the greatest panty dropper in the whole world, okay, all those women rushing to the stage over the years, and what I mean, you know, we can say panty dropper today. I mean, it's 2026. Okay.
Yeah, come on, wake up, everybody.
Exactly.
We're not asleep anymore.
No, we are wide awake. But I tell him like that, and I said, and you're going to tell me in all those years, all the beauty queens, the starlets, the singers, the girls next door, all the people, all the women that crashed his dressing rooms and climbed through the windows and rushed into the hotels and everything else. You're going to tell me in all that time period my father only had one child?
Well, no, I mean, word going around, and I was researching a little bit, you know, obviously, and they say, well, he had more than one child, and I said, well, I know he has two. Quote unquote, from what everybody else says, but they say that he had many more. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, why don't they all come forward? Why would you not come forward with such an incredible name? I'm quite sure I would have done that. I have his child. But
it's like opening a can of worms, you will get attacked.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be more lawsuits and things going on.
Well, it's not even the lawsuits. It's just we had a tremendous amount of good comments, but then you have all of this questionable other stuff coming from people who will not disclose their name or their location.
You know, anybody who does
SK39555 made this comment. And folks, and then I respond to the comment, and my name is Micheal Presley. It's in my name on the YouTube. And I'm thinking to myself, why can't we just use the name? You got something to address me about, just use your name.
And it's funny because if it wasn't the last name, if it wasn't Presley, we would not have all this. There's thousands of people out there that have had other children from other men and that have been married, and all sorts of crazy things go on in this world. And who am I to judge? I'm not judging anybody. I don't want to judge anybody. I have the greatest respect for you. You have a book out. Is your book out now?
The book is in the process of being printed.
Okay.
And we've got a cover. This is a prospective cover. In fact, folks, we're going to put this up also there, too, behind us. There it is. Okay, good. This is In My Father's Footsteps by Micheal Presley, and this was done by an artist, and we want to know what you think about it. If you like it, let us know. because
can't
we'll use it. We've got 3 or 4 versions of this, and if you don't like the cover, then tell us that too, and we'll see what we can do to change it.
Oh, okay. So we're going to be like the restaurant that was just floating around.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we won't mention that restaurant, but
I'm not mentioning the restaurant's name.
They
not
sure
at all.
got their business handed to them.
Well, they've got their business, so you've got to do the same thing if you want that changed. But now, basically, good to see you. How's life going on? You're doing a tour. You're doing all sorts of. I mean, you're just one busy man.
Yes, and I think the last time we were here, I had told everybody. I said the book's coming out, and a lot of people say, "Hey, he's never going to release a book." Well, we have, and in the book, unlike other books that you might have read about my father, what we have done is we have named the names. That's a biggie, folks.
Okay.
Because in so many of the books written about my father, they'll say, well, I can't disclose to you because it's a private confidence, and they were told by another private confidence that was told by another private confident person, and nobody's name's named.
No, nobody. So have you?
My book,
have you dropped all the names?
I've dropped all the names. I named the names from the International Hilton Hotel. I named the names in Las Vegas. I named the names in Los Angeles. In fact, I named names before my father and mother were ever born. And I named names after my father passed away, because the book doesn't stop just with my father passing away. My life continued. And in the book, I released to you everything about how my life progressed and how I grew up and what happened and the influences in my life. And somebody else says, well, I bet you any money he's got some negative things. Yeah, sure, we all do.
You know, mothers and fathers, I think, and you know,
exactly.
And children, we all have negative things.
We all have.
We can't help that.
Exactly. And I could tell you that in the book, I tell the story about how my grandfather, my father's father, Vernon, was arrested and put in prison for 3 years.
And you know something, I never knew that. You were doing an interview previously for the vets and everything. And when you brought that up, I thought, oh, that's something I didn't know, that Vernon had been in prison.
He had been in prison, and they actually got him out 2 years early because a big petition in the community. Now, this would never happen today. But, well, I don't know. Under past administrations, it might happen because they were letting people out of jail 5 minutes after they were arrested, with no bail. But I will tell you this, he was released from prison, but my grandfather did have a brush with the law. My father had a brush with the law early in his career.
Now, this is news because I didn't know about that, and I'm sure a lot of
people. He was stopped.
What happened? He used to drive a truck, so was he driving?
No, he wasn't driving the truck. He was driving across country in his Cadillac. And what ended up happening, the Cadillac ended up burning. Okay, a little later on, a month or two after this happened. But he was in the Cadillac and down in Louisiana. He was on his way to shows in Louisiana, and he was stopped by a police officer there for speeding, and was arrested. Felonious speeding was the charge.
Okay.
He was taken immediately
to
jail, and they charged him, and he paid the fine and got out.
He didn't stay in jail?
Yeah, no, he never stayed in jail. He just paid the speeding fine.
So speeding, I didn't know that you had to go to the office or wherever it is, to the station, police station, and be...
If it's felonious, that means it was I think he was over 100 miles an hour. They said he was probably going... Exactly. So, I mean, he was...
He thought he was singing a song.
Folks, my dad was racing that car, and the car could do it.
But he was singing one of his songs, and he was rocking around and forgot the speed.
So he got stopped. And back then, in those days in the communities, a lot of times the police officer was the head of the jail, and he was also the judge, and he might even be the mayor. Okay.
Exactly. But in those days, it was much easier. It was very different in those days.
And they asked him to follow him back to City Hall and to the jail, and they passed sentence on him, and he went ahead and did his bit.
Did he have that on record? That was on record then.
I think it's on record there. You can, if you do a deep search, you'll find the story, and I think that there's even some pictures of him being taken at that time. Now, that was not the last time my father had an involvement, because the next time he was involved in an assault.
Now, that's pretty heavy.
That can be heavy, but the charges were dropped when they got in front of the judge, and My father was not touched, although the man did assault my father. But you got to understand, you're assaulting a third-degree black belt, or I think he was might have even been higher than that. And the guy was wearing sunglasses when he came to the court hearing, and he was definitely he got the worst end of the whole thing. But he said, I don't want to press charges, and I'm not going to push for this. And it was an altercation.
And it was all dropped.
Yeah, it was all dropped. It was an altercation where my father had stepped into something he probably shouldn't have stepped into, but he did, and corrected the problem. And that was not his first time, because he also stopped a fist fight. And they showed up, and when he showed up and stepped out of the car, they all recognized him. They were fighting, and he pulled them apart, and he's looking at him. He said, why are you guys fighting? And they're all, Elvis Presley?
Yeah.
They forgot the reason they were fighting. It was all over at that point.
That was the end of that.
Exactly. So some of the folks had said, well, is he going to tell the story about what happened to him down in Florida? Well, folks, it's 15 years ago. We're not talking about recent history. It's 15 years ago. I was involved, and they used the justice system and the law enforcement system before it ever happened to Trump in Florida.
Okay.
And I'll name the name. It's Marion County. I'll name the name, and I'll even tell you the where the articles were carried. Star Banner newspaper.
Okay.
And I
don't even know that. I'm not familiar with that.
And I'm not ashamed of any of that, because the reason that I was arrested was because I was pulling the plug on the then current Ed Dean. I told you, I dropped the names. Ed Dean was sheriff at the time, and he was just as crooked as they could come.
So how did you get around it, and how?
I ended up 18 months.
Did
I
he
was
know
out
who
on
you
bail.
were?
Oh yes, I was trying to get another sheriff elected, Paul Truesdale.
Oh, yeah.
And he was an attorney there in town, and I was trying to get him elected. And Paul came to me and says, if I don't get elected, he's going to come gunning for you. And he did. And I looked at Paul and I says, how's he going to come gunning for me? I've never been involved in drugs. I've not even had a traffic citation in my entire lifetime.
So you've kind of been through it. I mean, we see one side of Elvis Presley, we see one side of you, but then there's all this sort of backlog that is like everyday living.
Absolutely.
And people forget that all they do is they see the starlight and they see all this, the glitzy witsy and all that stuff, and they forget that you also have like 20 hours of that day left living like everybody else. And people seem to forget that you're just a person, normal person out there, but you've got a name attached to yourself. If you had another name, nobody would take any notice of what's going on and what's happening.
And folks,
Is
entertainers,
that tough?
it is, because the public looks at an entertainer, looked at my father, and they basically thought, he would have a bathroom movement, and it came out prepackaged in little baggies with the label on it, and it was solid gold, and that's just not the way that normal life
they're
is.
Human beings. I mean, they're just regular human beings.
That's
I've
right.
been around the entertainment business for years, and I don't count myself as being in the entertainment business, but I guess I am in one way or the other. But
how many awards have you won?
Oh, I don't want to brag about that.
Oh,
it's like
right.
It's just
I need to brag, folks. Over 100 awards in media and entertainment. This beautiful woman, this beautiful specimen of womanhood, has had that many awards. She's fantastic in the industry.
There are a lot of them from California, but I've had some from Nevada, and I always say I've just been very, very lucky. Of people recognizing what I was trying to do for the younger generation. I had a show called Voices of Tomorrow, and I gave the younger generation a voice and a platform to speak out, so that, because I knew where I came from, I knew what happened to me, and I knew that they could make it. And I want to address that and let them know I don't care what color you are, what religion you are, what size you are. That has nothing to do with a human being. We cannot judge people on that. Like I'm listening about you. A lot of people are judging you on who you are. And it's like, I'm like going back to Voices of Tomorrow, where he's this person. You very freely, I've noticed in your interviews that you mention your father. And you mention it very softly or very easily. So now I'm going to ask you, how much time did you spend around your father that people haven't recognized?
I will tell you that early on, my mother was very protective of me. She had been in the industry herself.
And who was your mother?
My mother was Mary Ann, and she was a big band singer with Les Brown as orchestra and Guy Lombardo, Scatman Prada, okay, that came out with Sweet Cherry, a song, and so she was involved with all of these big bands on stages, all in the East, and she was also a model.
So she was very attractive.
Beautiful woman for the travel agency.
Elvis.
Yes, she was.
Obviously.
Yes, and it was funny because I asked her. I says, "Well, Mama," I said, "You tell me that you didn't when he came on to you. You didn't. You pushed him away." She says, "I did. I kept him at an arm's length." But there was one time she
didn't.
Yes, there was. And I asked her. I says, "You know, Mom," I said, "You told me you pushed him away, and what happened?"
Yeah,
and she looked at me and
happened.
she said, "Honey." And I remember it because I had just gotten dressed, and she kind of, checked me all over, and she said, "Honey," she just did this and put her hand right here, and she's patted my chest. She says, "Honey, your daddy had a way with a woman that he could get underneath her skin and she could not scratch it out."
Well, that's a good way of putting it. And here we have
politically correct.
Yeah, now we're going to be careful what we say and how we say it.
I know we are.
We're both going to end up in jail.
Oh my gosh. And speaking of being in jail, I got sentenced to a sentence without a trial.
Oh, how interesting. How did you manage that?
I went in for a status conference hearing. Now, status conference hearing goes in, and the attorneys, your defense attorney and the DA sits down, and they say, "Well, where are we with the trial?" The judge asks, "Where are we with the trial?" And they say, "Well, we're not ready to go to trial, Your Honor. We'd like to do, deferment again." And then the judge will say, "All right, well, I defer it again for 2 months, and you'll come back and see this bench at that time." 18 months. Now, for any of you folks out there who've ever had problems with the law, you'll know that if the DA's got a case against you, it happens real quick. They're going to nail you, and you're going to prison, and that is it. They don't wait 18 months out there to try and get. The problem was they had concocted the story.
So you had no case.
They had no case. They couldn't get any witnesses to witness the case, and this is all in the book, folks. And I put the documents all in there. My time in prison is all documented in there.
This book is like a telltale.
Oh yes, the pictures are all in there. Arrest pictures are all in there. I've got everything in the book.
It's a telltale book.
And I don't have them photoshopped, folks. I saw some pictures out on the internet, and they were photoshopped. So I'm telling you right now. So I end up going to this status conference, and my attorney tells me, he says, it's going to be 5 minutes like it was the last time. He says, and we're going to continue the case again. And I go in there, and the judge turns to the DA, and he says, "What do you want to sentence him to?" And I'm sitting there, and I'm going, "Sentence me to? I haven't had my trial in front of a group of my peers. We presented no information, no case to the court. I can't be sentence." And I turn to my attorney, and he pats me on the nail. "Shh, shh, shh. Don't say anything. Just shh."
Keep your lips sealed.
Yeah, and that's what they tell you. They tell you, don't talk about the case. Don't talk about the case. Don't talk to anybody about it. You just keep your mouth shut. That's what you've hired me for, as your attorney. So the DA turns to the judge, and he says, "Your Honor, we recommend 3 years state penitentiary." And the judge looks at him and comes bending over the bridge, over his bench like this, and he says, bangs the gavel 3 or 4 times, and he says, "I could give this guy 20 years. I give him 5 years, and that's it, not a day less." And he storms out. I mean, the flutter of his robes, like some great bird slamming the door behind him. Folks, he was in the sheriff was in his pocket. Judge Scott, by the way. Let me just go ahead and name the name, because it's mentioned in the book.
One thing about you don't mind mentioning names.
Look, this is 2026. We're all done with trying to hide behind fake transparency. Let's be transparent.
Yeah, well, that's what you've done with the book, and we're going back to the book again, because it seems like this book is very, very open. You're not afraid of giving anybody, their names out there. But what about the names that you do put out there? The reaction from them? Do you have a release from them that you can use their name?
No. In fact, I've told the folks, you have to understand that in this day and age, what is public is public.
Well, yeah,
If
go to
you
the
can see it
internet,
with your
yeah.
own eyes,
Yeah, but you can go to the internet and bring it up.
that's right, you can bring it up. And you can see, if you can see it, you can film it.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, that's the rules. Now, if you go into a closed space, like right now we've got the doors are closed, and somebody tries to come in here into a closed area and film something, we can get them for doing that because it's a
Yes.
closed area. They're not allowed in
Oh,
here.
okay, so-
But if you're in a public area where there's public things going on, and these are cases that are being proved every
course,
year in
yes.
the Supreme Court, you can film anything you want to do. Well, it's the same thing with out there. If your name is out in the public, I got a right to name it.
I know more about that than shake a stick at, because my name's out there all the time. I get the good, I get the bad, I get the indifference. I don't particularly care, because someone's going to say something either good or bad about Ninon, and it's okay. I mean, then if
It's okay with me.
If I don't want that, then don't be out there. It's a little late now. I mean, you know, the
And,
damage
and,
damage is
well,
done.
and to tell you the truth, in actuality, you know what they say, no publicity is bad publicity.
Oh, I agree with that. I just want to go back a little bit more into you and your father. And, you know, you mentioned in another interview that you were only with him like a couple of years, you know, being actually working with him. And because he didn't really
1975 to 77.
Yeah, he didn't really bring you up. Did he know about you, though?
Oh, yes, he knew about me from the moment my mother got pregnant. Okay.
Oh, she made sure she told him.
Oh, she made sure she told him, and he wanted to be involved, and it actually resulted in an argument in which she lost the shoe that she was wearing with her outfit that night in the automobile that she went to pick her up for the date. And my mother is trying to tell him, listen, you can't come around anymore. I'm pregnant. I'm not getting rid of it. I will raise our son, and he will know who his dad is, but I'm not bringing him anywhere near you. I don't want anything from you. My father is trying to have a conversation where I want to be involved. It's our son. It's not your son. And you know, it is from our love and all these things. And my mother she said, he got me argumentative.
Yeah, you know,
And she got out of the car and she left her shoe there. Well, my father sent her the next day 50 pairs of shoes to make up to him, to make up to her for the fact she lost the shoe. The problem was she sent all the shoes back. Now, what woman in this world is going to throw away? No, it's going to throw away 50 shoes and a beautiful spray of flowers that would go the length of your mantle in your living room over the fireplace. Is going to send all that back to somebody who has betrothed their love to them, and send it back. They're not going to do it. But my mother did that. In fact, she threw the money that the Colonel Tom Parker had placed on the coffee table to get my mother to leave and keep it quiet and never say another word about
her being pregnant.
About her being pregnant. She scooped up the money, she threw it out onto the grass, and I asked Mom, I said, well, what did the Colonel do? She says, that little round man got up and ran out the door screaming, are you crazy, lady? You just threw $10,000 out here like it was nothing for anybody to pick up, and he's just grabbing all the money and stuff in it. So she took my father and the Colonel, and she says, you take your boy and your filthy lucre, and you get off my property.
Cool. So how old were you when you actually first met your father, that you know of?
Well, my father was involved, and my mother told me all along, and different little comments and secrets, you know, and I would say, well, where's my daddy, Mom? And she says, well, he's so famous he can't come to see you. And I am protecting you, and does it really matter? She would always ask me that, does it really matter? And I said, no, Mama.
You said no. Why did you say no? Because a father is a father.
Well, because I was young.
You didn't know.
I didn't know.
And you hadn't really met him, and you didn't really know him.
Exactly.
So it didn't really matter to you.
And Mom was everything.
Yeah. Well, she was the one there.
Oh, yes, she was, but she was
100%.
mother and father. She was everything.
And when you met your father for the first time, I mean, how did you feel, if you can remember that?
I can. And in fact, through my life, as I got into high school, I had a high school teacher, and it was funny because they had done this to my father, okay, with the Louisiana hayride and how he got that contract, and also the Grand Ole Opry kicked him off the stage, told him, you know, you don't come back, you don't know how to sing, stay truck driving,
Sing.
and he got this
Elvis
contract.
Presley doesn't know how to sing.
You know, how can you say that, you know, and he becomes the greatest singer the world had ever seen. Well,
To this day.
to this day. Well, this teacher in high school is telling me, he says, you don't know how to sing, because I wanted to be a part in one of the plays. It was the play about the pea underneath the mattress. And I forget the name of the play. It doesn't really matter, but it was a play I wanted to be the lead in, and Robert Pino was his favorite.
Okay.
And Robert Pino was the one who got the play position in that play. And he told me, he says, because the school makes me and you want to sing, he says, I placed you in the chorus because it doesn't matter what you do up there. There's so many voices in the chorus. And we had an entire choral group. And he says, it doesn't matter what you really do. Nobody's going to hear you anyways.
So this was kind of your first singing and
Yes.
first thing out there. And
Yes.
knowing who your father was and how famous your father was, you know, you
They
suddenly
hated
realized,
me for it.
well, whether they hated you or not, were you afraid or were you frightened of whether you could not compete, but be like your father, to have like that same
I never thought
incredible
about
voice?
it. I just wanted to sing. And
But you knew who your father was.
Yes,
I mean,
oh
you knew
yes,
everything that he was.
and it was funny because I tell the story in the book about how my mother sent me to my aunts, her sisters, to get the story, and they didn't want to tell the real story and name the name, and I had to go back to my mother and I said, Mom, they told me he became the greatest entertainer the world has ever seen. Well, there was only one person that got that title, and that was Elvis Presley. And he was the most beautiful man, and the one sister said, yes, God really sent sin to this world for women in the form of that man because he was built like a Greek god.
He was
was beautiful.
because he was built for the part he played.
Absolutely.
But he fulfilled everything, but for him, coming over on the media, it became so natural to him. It was like he didn't really have to go to school to learn to be Elvis Presley.
It was
just
in his
did it.
blood.
It was. Do you feel the same thing with you? Do you feel that...
It burns. In fact, it was funny. I knew that I had retired before they asked me to come out officially and write the book and all these things they wanted me to do. And I did not want to do it. I had a little Mitsubishi car, and I was going to get a little teardrop trailer, and I was going to spend my retirement in search of the sunset. And that's what I was going to do.
Well, you found it.
Okay, well, exactly.
In a different way.
In a different way.
In a very different way.
And I had always been a child of the night, and so the sunset was a special thing to me. It was a special thing to my father because the world, Vegas and everywhere, comes alive at night.
Yes.
It breathes with a different heartbeat.
Yes, it's totally. Vegas is totally different.
Exactly.
It's like upside down, but of entertainment.
Exactly. And I felt that heartbeat at a very young age, and the fire that was in my veins. And I told the people that were around me and the management team that had approached me, that I looked at them and I said, you know what you are asking me to do. And they said, you need to do it because the demographics of the people coming through Graceland's gates, for the most part, it's under the age of 30. They were never alive when my father was alive. They don't know the truth.
It's the music, and it's just how he is. And
they don't know the truth.
Well, because he was a teenager, so you're going to get teenagers looking at a teenager and say, well, I want to be like that, and how did he do it? And he can't teach it because I don't think it was teachable. You just you could follow it. But that was bad. Now, you are starting, and you're of age of a little bit up there. We all are a little bit up there.
I am mature, well-seasoned.
No, I'm not matured at all, and I'm certainly not well-seasoned. I'm not going to come under that category.
Well, my personal assistant would say I have not matured 1 inch. I'm still a crazy child, but I'm seasoned.
But just seasoned. Well, this season, gentlemen, is on tour, going on tour.
Yes, I am.
Now, when you go on tour and you go into these big arenas...
From the soulful roots of Memphis to stories never told, Micheal Presley brings the fire, the soul, and the sound that shaped a dynasty. One stage, one night, one name that still echoes across generations.
Fabulous. Thank you for putting that up. That's amazing.
Be there. Feel the legacy. The Micheal Presley Reflections Concert Tour is waiting for you.
Oh, that's cool.
See this amazing show?
I love
And then it goes on,
Thank
it
you
talks
so-
about the
yeah,
deal and
but
everything like
I was
that.
going in a little different direction on that, but thank you for putting that up because that's really cool.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you.
that. But what I wanted to ask you is after you finish singing and you come out and then you've got all these people running up to see you, what is their reaction and what are the most questions they ask you? Because, you know, you're the son of Elvis Presley.
Well, one of the very first questions is, who's your mother? And I thought he only had a daughter.
Yes.
And of course, immediately I began to laugh because I still find it amusing because of the simple fact that my father, you're going to tell me that he had one child, a daughter, who was born 9 months to the day and almost to the hour that my stepmother, Priscilla Presley, says it happened. You're going to, and ladies out there, you know that that's just not possible, okay? That a person can pick the day and pick the hour and all that kind of
I
stuff.
never had children, so I don't quite
Well,
know that arena, but I'm quite sure
I've
it's
never
out
had,
there.
yeah, I've never had a child either, but I went to the Parenting
Really?
Association. No. Well, I've had children, meaning to say I am a father of children, but there are organizations that have this information. I went to them and I said, is this story even believable? And they said, the story is not believable. And I said, well, if that story is not believable, then it can't be that he only had one child, because my father was the greatest, can we say it? Should I say
Flirt?
it? Flirt. Is that
What?
better?
I don't know what you were going to say. But
Well, I was going to
just
say what I said
interjected.
on the last
I was just
program.
interject. No.
Should I change that?
No, you can do whatever. No, this is your show. I'm just sitting here asking questions.
Well, just let's face it, folks. The last show I said something different,
All right,
and
what
it
did you
wasn't.
say?
I said he was the greatest panty dropper in the whole world. Okay, and
Well, that's probably. I mean,
it's
I'm not going to deny
accurate.
that.
No, it was accurate, and there are books that have been written that talked about how the auditorium floors were littered with the underwear of women who had rushed the stage back in the day. Of course, not in later years.
Frank
They were a little
Sinatra
more
kind
trained.
of started that, didn't he?
He did, and he started
Frank
the girls
Sinatra
screaming
started-
and going crazy. I mean, it wasn't something new. My father suddenly came up with.
I've
Frank
heard lots
Sinatra
of
did it.
stories about that, and I've heard lots of stories, but I'm not going to mention because I'm not going to get into that because that's not the program at the moment. But I understand that there's a lot of stuff went on.
Yeah, and I can't believe that people would really believe that out of all the stars he dated, out of all the women, out of
He
all
just had
the
one
singers, out of all the girls that have known and rushed his stages over the years, you're going to tell me he only had one child? I don't believe it. I can't buy that.
Yeah.
And most
Well,
people,
I
most
don't
people, when I
think you-
present that to them, they stop and they think and they go, "Oh wow, I see what you mean. You're right."
Yeah, and a man is a man.
And
is
there's
a
more of
man.
us out there.
There's more of you.
There's not
Oh.
me specifically, but
Oh,
there's
okay.
more children out there.
So I'm going to say, any of you out there that have a child or whatever you want to say, bring it out. Why don't you just be honest and bring it out? And I know the consequences. You've got to bear the consequences, but you bear the consequences when you had the child as well. So I think if that happened to me, which obviously didn't, I probably would love to bring it out, and I'd like to sort of, be proud of.
And is there really anything to
have?
do with
Anybody
with,
else? No.
Well, no, but I'm saying, is there anything to do with the fact that he had a son? I mean, and I tell people this too. They said, "Well, did you get in on the money?" I said, "No, illegitimate children were excluded from the will." And they said, "Well, what have you done?" Da, 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 da.
Yeah, it's
and I
always
look
about
at him.
money.
Yeah, and I look at him and I say, "Listen, that and $4 will get you a Starbucks coffee."
Absolutely.
That fact that he had a son and $4 will get you Starbucks coffee.
So, now that you've kind of got into your father, we're going back into your father again when you started to be with him for a couple of years. How did you get on with Priscilla? Because obviously she was around in
Well,
life.
early on, and like I said, I've named all the names in there, and I know where all the people are and who the people were. And I want you to have the facts. I want you to have the knowledge because you've been told this over here for so many years. Now I'm bringing a new perspective for you to go ahead and read and look. If you don't want to buy the book, that's up to you. I'm not concerned. I'm not out to drive a book sales out there. What I am out there to do is to bring the facts, tell the story, bring the facts, and as a martyr, a protector of my father's legacy, my father's name, because they've got him out there. He's a pedophile. He's this, he's that, and on and on and on. And I'm telling people, listen, that was not my dad. And I knew him growing up because he sent Adrian Rosati. Okay, there's another name for you. And Adrian Rosati was a voice teacher who had been taught by Mario Lanza's teacher.
Oh, wow.
Okay, in the bel canto form of singing. And my father had made that an art. The big bel canto, baritone tenor singer that he was. And he sent Adrian Rosati while I was in high school to me to go ahead and give me voice lessons because he thought maybe I was concerned or if something was wrong with my voice and everything. Of course, Adrian came back to him and says, listen, he has pipes just like you. It's no different.
This was my second question was, do you sing like your dad?
I do.
Do you perform like... Now, you're a little shorter than your dad, right?
No, we're about the same height.
Same height?
Yes, okay, folks. In the program, in the book, it's put in there that for so many years, people believed my father was 6 foot tall.
Yeah, well, yes, because that's what he carried.
Right, that's what he carried. And with the lifts and with the 3-inch heels, the Cuban heels on his boots, he looked 6 foot.
And he was slender.
And he was slender. He looked 6 foot.
When you're slender, you look.
And folks, does it really matter whether he was 5'10", 11, or 6 foot high?
No difference.
The man was 12 feet high as an entertainer and as a father and as a man.
Yep.
Okay, and so it really doesn't matter. 6 foot is an understatement.
When he walked out on that stage, everybody went crazy.
And it didn't matter whether it was 1977 or 1969.
No.
Didn't
make any difference.
No, didn't make any difference.
And you have a new CD.
We've got a CD. Remember I told you folks we had a test CD out at the time. It was called the Micheal Presley Reflections Tour, or not tour, but a duet album with his father. The story is told on the back of the album. Oh yes,
well.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we have this one. Oh my goodness.
We have 12 beautiful songs, and I am in duet with my father, and you'll be able to see, and I ask you to turn it up because it's worth turning up.
Okay.
My father is the type of entertainer that you can turn him up. They can buy it from online, and it will be available in the store shortly. And you'll be
but you can get it online.
You can get it online on a couple of websites, and if you have a problem getting it online, just check with bandstandradio.com because they know where it is, or check with our production company that handles me, Shadow Mountain Productions LLC.com. Okay, and I'll give that out there to you guys. Please contact them, and you can contact them with if you want to say, well, I don't like this or I don't like that. You can do anything you want to. I'm not concerned about it. But the music on here is beautiful, and we are so close, matched up in our vocals, that it's almost like he's singing unison with himself.
Really?
Okay, and the vibrato and the clicks and the feelings and the music, the emotion.
Does all this come naturally to you? Because I haven't. Strangest thing, I've never seen him perform. I've never seen him perform. So hopefully you're going to come to Vegas and perform.
I am bringing my heart, folks. I am going to open my heart up to you on stage. We're going to tell you the stories. I'm going to show you the proof of when my father passed away. I'm going to show you the proof of whether it was drugs or not. This is all documented in medical files that have not been released.
If I remember rightly, our last interview, you said they've all got this particular date that he passed away, and you said, no, he didn't die then, he died.
The 1st of October.
Were you by his bedside? Did you come and see him, or were you not
No.
allowed to, or were you not able to?
Well, no, what they had done was they had already said he died August 16th.
Yes.
I had called my grandfather immediately and said, I can't believe he's dead. And he says, we're trying to handle everything right now. And I said, well, I'm packing the bag now. I'm on my way. And he told me, and he told a lot of people this, do not come. It's going to be difficult already, to get there. However, there are pictures, and I would like you to look at the pictures in the book, and you tell me whether that's me or not. And I'm not going to say it was me because my grandfather had asked me not to come, but I'm also not going to tell you it wasn't me.
Okay.
Okay? And so you will be able to see the proof photographically, untouched photographs from there. You'll also find out about all the conspiracy stories after my father died.
Of them. Yeah, I mean, you know.
Bill Bixby did a huge program. Okay? Yeah. He had like 5 episodes.
He's pretty cool. He's pretty honest.
Oh, he was. He had the Elvis conspiracy files or conspiracy tapes is what he had there. And there were all these sightings. Well, they found out that 98% of the sightings was me. It was my photograph taken in 1977 by the pool at Graceland in the pool room. And I was there talking to my grandfather about what had happened and getting the direct story from him of what had happened. Okay. And he could tell me at that point because everything had been put in place. And my father's body was at that time now resting where it belonged at Graceland. But it did not rest at the memorial home there, the cemetery in Memphis.
Yeah.
Okay, but they couldn't bring his body to Graceland and place it there in a private cemetery because it's inside the city limits.
Oh.
And there's things against that. You have to be buried in the city cemetery and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And they wouldn't allow it. Well, that required court hearings and commissioner hearings, and they rushed around to it, and there was a whole conspiracy over that.
Yeah, there's always a conspiracy
and
about
that's
something.
written in the book too. And I name all the names of the people that were involved in that. But the thing was, he died right after my grandfather had pulled the plug from him. He was on life support. He never regained consciousness.
So the father,
and it's still yes, and it's still yes, he did.
Isn't that I mean I
and it cuts me up. I don't want to start crying here on your program.
No, please don't. Well, that's okay. There'll be good tears. But it's a very, very hard time. Do a lot of people ask you questions about all this, and different things they sort of come up with trying to get the knowledge because.
Everybody wants to know. Exactly.
Who are you? Well, I'm not.
Everybody wants to know.
But who are you? They're all questioning you about, well, who's the proof and how do you know? And, come on, how do you feel? You cope with this probably every day.
Every day.
But, you're not Elvis Presley's son. I mean, you have
and then
to go
other people will say, you look just like him. Oh my gosh, you look just like him. Oh my gosh. And there's lots of ETAs out there, folks, and they do a great job at impersonating my father. And I want to commend them all.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yes,
especially in Vegas.
Yes, and they do a great job of keeping the image and my father's face in the limelight all the time. And guys, don't stop. Keep doing it.
Well, he's never died. He has never died.
No, the legend never died.
No, he's never died. He's never going to die because everybody brings them out there all the time.
Elvis is everywhere.
I mean, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. And everybody who does a performance as of Elvis, they want to look more and more and sing more and more like him and be more and more of him. And that's what he left, that everybody wants to be. Well, not everybody, but...
And he liked that. My father said the greatest...
He wasn't opposed to any of that?
No, my father said the greatest compliment that can be paid to somebody like myself is for somebody else to want to impersonate me.
Incredible. Well, I think we've gone on. We've learned a lot. We've done a lot.
I've got to tell you more story here.
All right.
They wanted to know about the birth certificate.
Yes.
And the DNA, I saw a lot of that stuff.
And the driver's license and all sorts of stuff.
That's that. For where I'm going to tell you about that right now. But before I tell you that, I want to tell you the first time that I saw my father as an adult. It was 1974. I had just turned 18 years of age and graduated from high school. And I had won Mr. Teen America. Okay? Folks, for singing was my category, okay?
I wonder why.
And so, Richard Schreier, if you're out there, you could have had me when I was so young. You could have had me in your play production there in high school.
There you go.
But I had won this contract to the old El Dorado Casino and showroom there, and it went under. I think it was the El Rancho one time, and it was the El Dorado.
Oh yeah,
and
right.
I don't know. It was a bunch of names, but I appeared there, and 18 years of age, straight out of high school, and I was performing my shows there. My father was in Los Angeles, and you could check all the dates and figures, and it will show you that he was at Studio A in Los Angeles, California, and he was rehearsing a bunch of numbers that he was going to include in his very opening night, songs that were brand spanking new and did not get a good response.
He wrote a lot of his own songs, didn't he?
No.
He didn't write anything?
No. My father was the best cover artist that there ever was.
Okay.
And the very first one. But he was there. He went to see my mother to check on her. He gave my mother this ring right here.
The ram's head?
The ram's head ring, which matches his ram's head ring and bracelet and necklace that he wore and purchased. He was a Capricorn, I'm an Aries. And so he had that for me. And then he came, he had Kirk Kerkorian, and I know that the Vegas people listening.
I knew him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kirk Kerkorian was the owner there
Yeah.
at the International Hotel
Sure,
before Hilton took it over.
I knew the Hilton family, too.
Exactly. And he was responsible for bringing my father to the Hilton Hotel, to the International. And Kirk Kerkorian had a wife that he had married who had been a waitress in the casino showrooms and lounges and out on the casino floor. And he had sent her because my father said, I want to know what his show was like. Because there was nothing, this was the first real show of mine.
Yeah.
And so he contacted Kirk Kerkorian and said, can you check out Michael, make sure he's all right? Let me know the show. And my God, I hope he did good. Well, he sent his wife over to check on that because she knew the people over there at the El Dorado.
Of course, yes.
She goes over there, she comes back and reports to it. Kirk Kerkorian calls my father and reports to it. He says, good, then I'm going to go visit him at his showroom on Saturday night. I closed.
So he wouldn't go until he knew there was a good show and it was okay.
Well, I think he would have probably come to see me after that, but he would not have made this big thing an issue.
A big effort, yeah. He wanted to know exactly what you were doing and what you were up to.
Exactly. And he came and sat through about the last 15, 20 minutes of the show, undisclosed to the audience, because had my father walked into the showroom that night, I mean, the place would have come unglued, okay? He didn't do that. He came in at the tail end of the show and sat in a very secluded area there for lighting and sound and things like that,
yes.
Watched the last few minutes of the show, and then proceeded to make his way to the dressing room. Now, I did not want to stay in the dressing room. You usually had to stay because they make you sign autographs and take pictures and all that kind of stuff after the show for celebrities and people that have come, and the maitre d's bring them down to you.
Yeah.
And I was tired. It had been a long week, and at age 18, you can't do anything in Vegas other than what you've been hired to do, and then you go back to your room.
Yeah, you can't go drinking and all that
Can't
stuff.
gamble, can't go into different places, can't go out club hopping, can't drink, can't do anything. So I was ready to go back to Los Angeles, and I told the maitre d', I said, I'm not interested in seeing any people tonight. Can you just tell them I'm not feeling good? My father shoves the door open, and he comes in like a great winged bird, dressed in black.
He says, you can't do that.
Exactly. He says, son, don't you want to talk to me? And I said, oh my gosh, yes, Dad. Here, let me get you a chair. He lights on this chair. He's wearing a full-length mink coat. Now, my father was the only man in the history of men's mink coats who could wear a full-length mink coat in the middle of summer, 115-degree heat in Las Vegas, Nevada, and not break a sweat. His guys that followed him behind him, they're all sweating.
Well, that's true. He didn't when he was in his younger days.
No.
He didn't. No.
And so this is 1974, and he comes walking in, strapped guns, police badge, flashlight, baton, the works. And he sits down there, and he hands the baton to one of the guys that comes in the back, is Memphis Mafia, also dressed in black. Hands it back to them, and he leans forward and he says, son, I'm real proud of you. And he says, I want you to come over to the Hilton Hotel and spend the week with me. And I told him, I said, no, I've already talked to Mom today, and I told her I was going back to L.A. at the end of the show tomorrow morning. I'm scheduled to go back. And he says, no, I've already talked to your mother. You're spending the week with me. And
that was the end of that.
And that was the end of that. And, you know, with my father, Elvis Aaron Presley, you didn't tell him no. Okay?
Not even the son.
Not even the son. You could suggest things to my father, but if you tried to tell him no, it was like putting on the brakes to everything that you were dealing with.
Sounds like a typical father. You know, fathers are funny creatures.
So he looks at me and he says, I've already moved your stuff. I've already packed your bags at the hotel. You'll find them in your suite there at the International, and you're coming over with me. In fact, you're going to leave right now. We're going to go back over to the International.
And that was the end of that.
And that was the end of the conversation. I mentioned on the last program his opening night. Now that closing night was that was August 17th, Saturday night, 1974. I told you, folks, in my book I name all of this. Pictures too. If you don't want to read the words, it's a great picture book.
It's a coffee table book.
Exactly. So you turned around and the 17th we had, or the 18th I had off, and I spent it around the pool at the International, and then on the 19th he had his opening night, and I had to get a girlfriend, so I got the girl that had been doing my hair all week long.
I was going to say, it's not hard to get a girl in Vegas.
No.
And time a dozen.
When I told her that we were going to be watching a week's worth of performances of Elvis Presley, she goes, oh my gosh, I got to go get clothes. I'll talk to you later. Let me go shopping. And she rushed right out shopping, had to have her hair done, nails done, all that kind of stuff. So she came over.
The king.
Exactly. She came over and spent the week with me at the International Hotel.
You're only 18, right?
I'm only 18. Oh yeah, and folks, I was.
I won't go there.
Well, no, I'm going to tell you, I was a freshly broken in virgin at that point. So
you're no virgin after that one.
Folks, I told you in the book, I tell the whole story. Believe me, you're going to get it all. But I can tell you that I was a freshly broken in a virgin. The very first girl I had any kind of relations with. She was 9 years or so my senior. Okay, so she was an older woman, and so this girl here was my second love at that point. And
you sure this time you were 18?
Oh, I was 18.
Okay, I'm just checking.
You
know what?
I was legal as far as that was concerned. I know.
Just want to make
so
sure.
I graduated in '74, and my birthday is in March. So,
okay.
I was already 18.
We're
so
that one out.
My father has this opening night on the 19th, and the show, and you can go online. They've got the show online, the music and everything like this, and you can see it for yourself. I'm not telling you folks anything that you probably can't go.
Nothing new.
No, you can go and check this. Well, it may be new for a lot of people because they don't deep dive into some of these things.
No, of course
but
not.
I'm telling you now how to find it and where to go look for it, and it's all written up in the book, anyways. But at any rate, he does the opening of the show. Now, my father had opened since 1969, 1970. He had opened with C.C. Ryder and 2001 Space Odyssey, and then it would go into C.C. Ryder, and then he'd come out with C.C. Ryder. That was my father's normal opening, and Can't Help Falling in Love was always his normal closing.
Yeah.
My father starts off the show with a song called Big Boss Man. And it starts off with this rhythmic drum beat, and the curtains open, and he comes bounding out from the back of the curtains and gets right out there, grabs the microphone in a peacock outfit that night, and goes into Big Boss Man.
You weren't prepared for this.
I wasn't, because everybody around the pool, when they found out I wasn't Elvis Presley, they said, well, what are you doing here? Are you doing a show here too? And I said, no. I'm just here to see Elvis Presley. Me and my girl are going to see him. And of course they said, okay, well, have you ever seen him before? I said, I've never seen him perform before. Oh, well, he's going to start off with 2001 Space Odyssey, and he's going to do C.C. Ryder. And they go through a whole group of songs that he was expected to do.
So you've now got all this in your head, and you're like ready for this whole thing.
Exactly. And it was nothing like everybody said.
And you actually said that this particular show was only the one show.
One show out of
that
the
was
entire
totally
history
of his shows.
from his comeback special in 1968 to his final performances in
Yeah.
1977. This was the one show that was like
different.
that, totally different. He did very few songs that made him famous. He did songs like "Bitter They Are, the Harder They Fall" during that week's worth of performances.
He just wants to let people
It's
know
midnight.
That he can do right.
He was a crooner. Oh my word, he could tear the heartstrings out of a man or a woman.
I
Okay.
don't know about the man part, but I know about the woman
Oh,
part.
I've seen it happen to men too, that they just go, I can't believe it. He just touched me inside, and I've been there with that song. They've lived that kind of
I
life.
think it's the way he presented his body, but also when he looked at people, it was so truthful and so honest, and he kind of interjected what he was singing into their body, and it was something that he did it just for that person. Just when he was singing, just
He
for
made
that
you
one,
feel like you were the only person in the
in
audience,
that room, and you were
the
the
entire
only
show was
person-
for you.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
He
absolutely
did.
correct.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of that, how he went, especially with his eyes, how he looked at somebody and how he kind of got right into them. But he kind of knew who they were.
Mm-hmm. Without even knowing them.
Oh, yeah, he didn't know them at all. No,
Exactly.
no.
And I always tell people the eyes are the
The souls of the
yes,
soul.
it's the window to the
To your
person's
soul.
heart and the
Yes,
soul.
it's
Exactly,
the eyes,
exactly.
yes.
So guys out there, when you're
So-
wanting to date a girl, make sure that you look into their eyes a lot.
Oh, eyes will tell you everything. In fact, when people talk to me a lot of times, and this has happened to me, and recently it happened to me with a gentleman friend of mine, and the eye contact was never there. He's telling me a story, and he's over here somewhere, and I'm like, so what I did, I walked over, I moved over, and I'm looking at him over there. And then he goes back to the other one, and I just thought, this is danger in the wings.
Exactly.
This is not, either
Exactly.
it's a lie, it's not a truthful, or he's
That's right.
embarrassed. Or,
That's right.
Many people can be shy, especially men when they tell a story. Men get very shy. On that, can I close the show now? Are we over? We'll never be over.
Somebody mentioned something too about documents. And they said, well, he showed the documents to Ninon, but they never showed them to the people. Well, folks, there's a reason for that, and that is my producers and my directors and the publisher. They don't want all of this stuff just given out there freely, because these people have spent a lot of money and time putting this together.
But also, when you put something out there freely, people change things,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of stuff can be changed. I mean, either you believe it or you don't believe it. Have your own judgment. There's nothing wrong with you having your own judgment of who you are, what you feel, what you think. He's got a book here. He's going to show me. I don't know if this show will ever close.
This is an affidavit that was carried in court when the court order came down. And in this affidavit, it says, I, Micheal Presley, after being duly sworn under oath according to the law, depose and say. And then I go down through the thing, and I put right in there that I have produced certain federal and state documents, including but not limited to my Social Security card, driver's license, passport. And folks, with the passport, you have to you have to clear a background check. Now, everybody can't get a passport. And if you don't clear the background check of who you are,
No, if
you don't get that.
You don't get a passport.
You don't get a driver's license anymore unless you can pass the driver's license clearance, the security clearance for the driver's license to get that little star there, because they're going to make sure that who you are is really you are. And that means that the Social Security card was correct, the driver's license was correct, the passport is correct, the birth certificate is correct, the DNA paternity results and court orders and court-ordered sealed documents before persons questioning my credentials. All of this was presented, signed by me,
And
sealed by the state, and this is a copy of my birth certificate, which is in the book. All these documents are shown in the book.
I'm going to interrupt you 1 second, because I've seen all these. First time I interviewed you, actually.
That's right, and this is the DNA results.
But I've always had feedback. You're not going to like this, but I've had feedback saying, well, anybody could do this.
You cannot falsify anything to get a passport.
I was going to say, one thing I do know is a driver's license, and that could be changed a little bit, but that's even tricky now.
That's right.
But a passport, I mean, I just had to renew my passport. Because of COVID, it took me a little longer. And obviously, I've had quite a few passports. I mean, the same name and everything. Don't think I'm...
That's...
Okay.
Oh, let me get this over here, the camera. That's a copy of my passport.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. So we've got this...
And my VA military ID.
I also know that this is obviously going to go out on my media, which is going to go everywhere. Of my media, which is NDD Network, which I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on everywhere. What do you want to say?
Well, I wanted to say that I don't have to prove anything. Nobody,
no,
you know who you are. You folks out there, you don't have to prove anything. I don't have to prove anything.
No.
I'm not here to try and prove or change any of your people's opinions. I served in the military of this country so that you have the right to believe and say what you want to say.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And I'm not here to change it. But I am asking you, come and see me, please.
Yeah.
Come to any performance that we are on. Come see me. Come meet me. Introduce yourself to me.
Check him out.
Okay?
Check him
and
out.
I also want to tell something about you.
But the interview is about you.
I know. But folks, this young lady is doing something that is going to be phenomenal. We talked about this on the last program, the VA program. You have got a new thing coming out for women that is going to change the perspective of women across the board. And I think it's been a long time coming. Ladies, I'm going to want you to definitely check her out and what she's got to say. She's got a new training program that's going to give you all the secrets.
It's a 7 series, and it's
and you're going to tell all
short.
the secrets, aren't you?
I'm
on
going
how
to
to take
well,
care
I
of
don't
yourself.
have secrets, so everything's coming out because I want to share what happened to me. I never went to school and all that stuff, and I left home at 16 with $5. So, and I made it big, and I did well, but I worked. But I also knew
you have to work.
Yeah, you got to work. I also knew where I wanted to go and what I wanted to be, and I definitely had that in line. And so now, because of everything else, I'm not a selfish person, and I would love to share what I know to help other women out there. I'm going to say one thing about women. Women, please, be women. Don't try to be a man. You are, just because I do agree with the wage thing. I think if a woman is doing the same job as a man, she should get the same.
Absolutely.
She should get the same wages. But don't try to be a man. You are a woman. Be proud of it. Love it. Take it all in of what you have, and definitely use it.
Yes, and my father and mother both brought me up to believe women are the most precious gift next to the breath that's in your lungs.
Yes.
That God delivered on this earth.
I mean, God delivers all of us, and I'm a big believer in God, obviously. I hope everybody else is.
You guys are the flowers of the world. Wouldn't it be a terrible place? Can you see this world only men in it? Oh, my word.
Well, that's what I think. I think that's what happened. China. That was a problem with China, when the women could only have one child.
And it had to be a man.
And it had to be a man. I think they did this for, I don't know, was it 10 years?
I think it was longer than that.
Well, whatever it was, quote unquote, they now have no women, so they can't increase
the population
in their population because there's no women around. So there's a big problem that all of a sudden we've got all these men. So, a world out there with all women or all men is not going to work. Because the women are the women and the men are the men. And it's the most beautiful thing. And I think the most beautiful thing was between your mother and Elvis Presley.
Oh,
and she decided...
Incredible.
The story, she decided to keep the child, which is you. She brought him up. She did what she was supposed to do. And here we have what the consequences are. On that, we're going to close. We've had proof of many things. Stories, books, CDs. We've kind of been through all of it in a short time, and it's so funny because you look at your life and you've gone through it, and it's been over many years, and you can tell the story within an hour. It's all worth it, though.
It is.
Michael.
Thank you so very much.
Micheal Presley, thank you for coming on my show.
Ninon, thank you so very much for having me.
And don't forget to watch his tour. His tour is out there, it's starting.
Peace and love to everybody.
Peace and love. See you soon.